Chapter 1431. Yin Juju didn't want to lose either. The reputation of the Seven Knights Villa and the dragon-subduing sword rested on him. Wang Yue looked like a girl, but when she used the cold snow plum blossom sword, she was so powerful that she didn't look like a girl at all. Moreover, this sword technique of hers was mostly executed in the air. Combined with her Amaze unique lightness skill, the white horse treading on snow, the sword technique's power increased a lot. Good sword technique. Long Bailey couldn't help but praise, as expected of the Amaze sect's true inheritance. This sword technique is so powerful in the air. This is the world's #1 sword technique. The dragon-subduing sword is just too famous and doesn't deserve to be compared to the Amaze sect's sword technique. Yeah, it's a bit exaggerated to say that the dragon-subduing sword is the world's #1 sword technique. Wang Zhini added, I've been watching for a long time, but I don't see anything special about it. Amitabha. It does look a little ordinary. Could it be that this sword technique can only be displayed in the hands of Villa Master Li? The old monk Yu Shu was a martial arts fanatic. He didn't mean to ridicule Yin Juju, but when he saw the sword technique Yin Juju used, he couldn't help but have some doubts. Was this really a sword technique created by Li Fan? It didn't have any power at all. Yin Juju felt a bit ashamed when he heard these comments. He had been a disciple for a few months, but his sword technique was far inferior to any of the 7 Knights Sword Guard. But he understood why Elder Ju pointed him out. Elder Ju wanted to use this opportunity to give him some advice. After all, he didn't have much actual combat experience. Usually, he only sparred with his fellow disciples in the villa. Everyone used the 7 Knights Villa's martial arts, so their horizons were naturally limited. Being able to spar with the Amaze sect's disciples was obviously a good training opportunity. But if this went on, he would be a disgrace to the villa. But Imperial concubine Ju wasn't anxious or impatient. She stood at the side and watched the two sparring, looking very confident. Elder Ju's words lingered in his mind. Yes, the essence of the dragon-subduing sword was speed. These 7 hero swordsmen could stab their swords into the enemy's throat in an instant. And his every move and stance was too rigid. Forget about those complicated moves, and let yourself be like a real dragon swimming in the sky. Yin Juju regained his confidence, and his eyes lit up. Senior brother, watch my sword. Once again, Wang Yue used her qinggong and leaped up, landing on top of Yin Zhouzhou's head. At the same time, the two swords spun again and stabbed at Yin Juju. Dragon Lock Divine Weapon. But this time, Yin Juju was no longer afraid. He was talented to begin with, so he was just a little nervous at first. But at this moment, he was so focused that he had actually entered a mysterious state. In this world, there seemed to be only him and the sword in his hand. As for Wang Yue, her figure seemed to have slowed down. Countless openings appeared on her body, waiting for him to resolve them. Dang dang. Yin Juju stabbed out 2 swords in a row, beautifully hitting Wang Yue's flaws, directly knocking away her 2 treasured sword. Aya! Wang Yue cried out in alarm. She hurriedly retreated to the side and pulled out the sword that was stabbed into the ground. The surrounding spectators widened their eyes. What an exquisite sword technique! It actually knocked away the opponent's weapons. Yu Ruoying, who had a happy expression, once again turned ashen. Her sect's disciples' treasured swords were knocked away. This was not an ordinary humiliation. Damn it, how did Yin Zhouzhou's sword technique suddenly improve? It seemed like he had just comprehended the essence of the dragon-subduing sword technique. Could it be that he pretended to be a pig to eat a tiger just to humiliate Amei? No, his previous appearance was not an act. That meant, Imperial concubine Ju was using this sword competition to intentionally guide her own disciple. Hateful. Such an important martial arts competition, yet Imperial concubine Ju was actually using it to guide her disciple. Wasn't this 7 Knights Villa a little too arrogant? Could it be that they were that confident in the dragon-subduing sword technique? Azure Dragon Point Water. Without waiting for Wang Yue to make another move, Yin Juju had already quickly arrived in front of her. At the same time, his sword was directly aimed at her throat. It looked like it was going to pierce into this girl's throat and kill her. However, At this time, Imperial concubine Ju suddenly appeared beside Wang Yue. She stretched out her hand and rolled her sleeve on the treasured sword. Clang! This treasured sword was directly broken by Imperial concubine Ju's sleeve. Good. The surrounding martial artists couldn't help but applaud. They couldn't help but applaud. This drifting cloud-flying sleeve was too beautiful. As the saying goes, once an expert makes a move, you will know whether it is real or not. Just this move of Imperial concubine Ju proved how powerful she was. Hey! Wang Yue still didn't understand why a beauty suddenly appeared beside her. Also, what did she do just now? Why did the people beside her applaud? This disciple is guilty. Yin Juju knelt down, making Wang Yue even more confused. The little girl quickly jumped away. She didn't want to be kowtowed to by a man. Your sword technique is not good, and you almost killed someone. However, it was indeed unintentional. This concubine will punish you lightly. Go to the reflection building to reflect for half a year. Yes, this disciple accepts the punishment. Yin Juju retreated. Wang Yue still didn't understand. Many thanks to Senior Ju for saving me. Yu Ruoying also cupped her hands and lowered her head to thank Imperial concubine Ju. She thought hard for a long time, but she still couldn't understand. If they were at the same level of strength, how would she deal with that sword? That sword was really too fast. It was just a brat who had reached the point of perfection, and it already had such godly might. If it was little tyrant Li Fan who used this move, how terrifying would it be? The more she thought, the more frightened she became. Yu Ruoying didn't dare to think any further. Sect Master Yu, the way you teach disciples is too excessive. Imperial concubine Ju was very close to Wang Yue earlier. When she noticed the abnormality on Wang Yue's body, she couldn't help but remind Yu Ruoying, you are so ruthless. Be careful that you are not nurturing a talent, but an enemy. Yu Ruoying became silent. Amitabha. Good sword technique, truly good sword technique. Master Yu Shu laughed loudly. He broke off a peach blossom tree branch from the side and excitedly walked over. Come, little benefactor, this old monk will exchange a few moves with you. The faces of the Shaolin monks darkened. All right, the abbot is too embarrassing. This, Master Yu Shu, you are an enlightened monk. It is not suitable for you to compete with a junior in the pugilistic world, Xia Yang couldn't help but remind him. Amitabha, that is precisely the case. That is why this old monk will only use a tree branch. When Master Yu Shu was young, he liked to read Jin Yong's novels. In them, it was always said that Shaolin had collected all the martial arts in the world. Although this was not the case in reality, he had this thought. He wanted to take a look at the martial arts in the world, learn them, and bring them into Shaolin, leaving behind a culture for the future generations. This could be considered a kind of public virtue. Every blade of grass and every tree in Seven Knights Villa is public property. Xia Yang's smile was a little awkward. There is a rule. If you break a tree branch, you will be fined 100. The old monk blinked his eyes. Amitabha. Why does this old monk feel like he has been cheated? Chapter 1432. Master Yu Shu felt like he had been deceived, but he still had to abide by the rules when he was in someone else's place. Even if it was the Shaolin temple, they could not casually destroy a blade of grass or a tree. Every tourist attraction had cultural value, so they could only obediently pay the bill. 100 yuan was not a lot. It was not a big deal for Shaolin temple, which was a big business. But after a while, Master Yu Shu did not blush. He still pulled Yin Juju excitedly and said, Young benefactor, you must spar with me. Young benefactor, you must exchange blows with this old monk and let this old monk experience the essence of this dragon-subduing sword. Master Yu Shu, you are a grandmaster after all. What kind of martial arts have you not seen? Long Bailey could not help but frown. They were all from the 6 major sects, and Shaolin and Wudang were the leaders. Wouldn't Master Yu Shu be a disgrace to the 6 major sects? Even if he was a martial arts fanatic, he had to look at the occasion. To think that he was an eminent monk. This is just a mere dragon-subduing sword. It's just a little faster. Is it worth it for you to make such a big fuss? You haven't seen the essence of this sword technique. Master Yushu was straightforward, and his words angered Long Bailey half to death. Come, young benefactor, don't stand on ceremony. Stab me with all your strength. Master Yushu's excited expression made everyone feel helpless. With Master Yushu's strength, it's too much to let Yin Juju compete with you. Xia, who was the smart one, she quickly said, how about this? The second seat disciple, Jiang Yi, should be back tonight. Her dragon-subduing sword is much smarter than Yin Zhozhou's. Master, please don't be impatient. Come to our cafeteria for dinner, and Jiang Yi will be back soon. Amitabh her. Very good. Master Yushu agreed immediately, but Wu Yangzi, who was standing beside him, sneered. What a joke. Master Yushu is the Shaolin Temple's abbot. You want to compete with him with a second seat disciple? And you say it so casually. That's right. Isn't it too presumptuous? What a bunch of people who don't know the rules. The crowd began to discuss and mock the Seven Knights Villa. It's okay. Master Yushu waved his hand. Buddha says that all living beings are equal. This old monk is the abbot, but also not the abbot. Since this old monk doesn't mind, why do you have to be so serious? Master Yushu's Dharma is profound. I'm impressed. Xia, who could not help but put her palms together and bowed to the jade void. Master Yushu's Dharma is naturally profound. A voice came from behind them. Everyone turned around and saw a group of martial arts elites in black and white uniforms walking in from the door. The person in the lead was none other than Jiang Feng. Beside him, Shui Wuxin was nowhere to be seen. However, the current Jiang Feng no longer needed Shui Wuxin's help. He already possessed the strength to transcend the heavens and had become an overlord. So it's the guests from the royal army. Xia, who turned around and saluted Jiang Feng. However, our manor lord's decision to wash his hands of corruption shouldn't be against the law, right? Although the ban on martial arts was abolished, there was still a need for law enforcers in the martial arts world. The embroidered uniform guards had already been crippled, leaving only the imperial guards that could be used. As a member of the government, Jiang Feng naturally retained his position. In this way, his control over Dragon God Number 1 would be well deserved. Jiang Feng? The imperial guards. Everyone looked at him with disdain. To them, Jiang Feng was an undeniable enemy. It was because of him that the martial arts world had become like this. However, they could only swallow their anger. Because they were only martial artists, how could they fight against the government? If the government could destroy them once, it could naturally destroy them twice. Even if these experts could run and escape, could their foundations escape? Wudang was located on Mount Wudang at the mouth of the Dan River in Sheyang, Hubei. Shaolin was located on Mount Song at Mount Shaosha in Dengfeng County, Henan. Amei was located on Mount Amei in Maishan County, Jiazhou, Sichuan. Qingcheng was also in Sichuan, but it was located on Mount Qingcheng in Dujiangyan. Kunlun and Kongtong were located on Mount Kunlun in Qinghai and Kongtong in Pingliang, Gansu respectively. These were the foundations left behind by their ancestors. If even these foundations were gone, then their so-called sects would naturally only exist in name. Some small sects could hide in the mountains, but they could not. These were the 6 great sects. They had the prestige of the 6 great sects, and they also had the responsibility of the 6 great sects. It's quite lively today. Jiang Feng held a folding fan in his hand, looking very cool. He waved his folding fan and said with a smile, "In the past, I have only seen such a grand occasion in the Martial Arts World Convention. I did not expect that my brother Li Fan's washing of the Golden Basin Assembly could also attract so many heroes of the martial arts world. Master Jiang is too polite." Xia, who said in a neither servile nor overbearing manner, "All of this is thanks to Master Jiang. Without Master Jiang's help, my villa master would not have a good impression of the 6 major sects. You are too polite. Everyone is just doing something for the martial arts world, it's just that the methods are different." Jiang Feng said with a smile, "You may hate me for being ruthless. But after a few years, when you look back, you will think that I, Jiang Feng, did a good job." Bah! Shameless bastard. What a load of nonsense. These words caused a group of people to be disgusted. Only Master Yu Shu put his palms together and murmured, "Amitabha." Almsgiver Jiang did not hesitate to sacrifice himself to become an Azura in order to resolve the hostility and conflicts in the martial arts world. This realm is indeed admirable. Master Yu Shu is indeed an eminent monk. Jiang Feng's expression was somewhat moved. "Jiang Feng, what are you doing here today?" Long Bailey looked at Jiang Feng strangely. "Are you really here to monitor us?" "Don't worry, everyone. I am also here to participate in my sworn brother's washing of the Golden Basin Assembly." Jiang Feng chuckled. "Could it be that you're all afraid of me? I do things according to the rules. As long as you do not break the law, why would I provoke you, right?" Although they did not welcome Jiang Feng, since he was here, he was a guest. The villa could only allocate some guest rooms for them to stay. Xia Hu led everyone to the dining hall and had dinner in the villa. There were more than 100 tables in the dining hall, which was full of martial arts world people. The people of the Immerse sect sat around a table, which was full of food. But Wang Yue lowered her head and did not dare to eat. She secretly looked at her master's expression. None of the senior sisters around her came to persuade her. They all wanted Wang Yue to offend the sect leader. Would they speak up for Wang Yue when they finally had the chance? Absolutely not. "Yue, let's eat," Yu Ruoying suddenly said. "Oh," Wang Yue raised her head in a hurry. She suddenly felt that it was impolite to just say one word, so she quickly added, "Yes, Master. Are you angry with Master?" Yu Ruoying suddenly asked, contrary to her usual behavior. Chapter 1433. Wang Yue's heart was somewhat flustered. Why would Master ask like this? "Master, I obviously didn't do a good job. How can I be angry at Master? It's good that Master is not angry at me. Yue, even if you don't say it, I understand. You must be thinking in your heart, my strength is not good, why did Master let me go up, right?" Yu Ruoying looked at Wang Yue's eyes. For the first time, there was some gentleness in her eyes. I don't have such thoughts." Wang Yue lowered her head, not daring to look at Yu Ruoying's eyes. But her hands tightly grasped the corner of her clothes, biting her lips. "Don't worry, Master will not scold you today." Yu Ruoying slowly said, "Master used to think that as long as there is a bit more pressure, you can quickly grow up. But Master reflected today, it seems that I used the wrong method. As long as you are willing to open your heart to Master, tell Master what's in your heart, how about it?" "Master, I. Wang Yue seemed to be a bit excited. Master was actually willing to tell her heart? "Come, tell your Master about it." "Master. Master treats disciple very well." Wang Yue's eyes were red, she began to pour out her heart. But Master, when Master punishes disciple, it's really scary. Disciple, sometimes disciple will what? Yue, talk to Master properly." Yu Ruoying gently pulled Wang Yue's small hand. Will hate Master a little, afraid Master. Bastard. Yu Ruoying slammed the table. Fortunately, there were many people in the dining hall, no one paid attention to this side. But Wang Yue and the others were sitting close, hearing clearly, they were scared to the point of trembling. Especially Wang Yue, a pretty little girl, she was so scared that she almost peed. She felt a soreness below, under Yu Ruoying's gaze, her whole body shivered. "You ingrate, Master raised you for so many years in vain." Yu Ruoying was angry. "Sure enough, I raised an enemy. Master was just testing you a little, and you already revealed your wild ambition. Master, disciple knows her mistake." Wang Yue knelt down, both hands on the ground, not daring to look at her master. Imperial concubine Ju saw this scene from afar, she could not help but shake her head. That was not what she meant when she reminded Yu Ruoying. She saw that there were some bruises on Wang Yue's body. It was obvious that she had been beaten severely. He had always heard that Immerse sect was very strict when it came to disciplining their disciples. They even liked to use corporal punishment. How could he rely on such methods to groom his disciples? As for Imperial concubine Ju, her methods were even more ruthless. But she was training her own slaves, not her disciples. As for the slaves, they would naturally be killed after they were used, but not the disciples. If that was the case, in the end, if it wasn't an enemy, what else could it be? Although she was by Li Fan's side, Imperial concubine Ju was a decisive person. She saw fear in the eyes of Wang Yue and the other Amei disciples. But the more afraid they were, the fiercer the backlash would be in the future. With Amei sect's rules, even if Jiang Feng did not stir up trouble, they might not be able to last for long. Jianghu, Wulin, in fact, had been slowly declining. She looked at the trembling Wang Yue who was constantly being reprimanded and turned her head to the side. This was the matter of their own sect, she should not interfere. Wang Yue, you have been in my sect for 2 years. I saw that you were talented, so I made an exception and accepted you as my last disciple. But you have always been playing around and did not make progress. I had no choice but to use strict methods to supervise you. Not only did you not thank me, but you also hate me. You really have the ambition of a wolf, the ambition of a wolf. Yu Ruoying sighed again and again. Master, we can't let this kind of person live. A female disciple next to her took the opportunity to say, I think it's better to cripple her martial arts and expel her from the sect. Hearing this, Wang Yue became even more afraid. Her family was originally good, but a few years ago, there was a big change. Her father lost all his money gambling, and in the end, he jumped off a building to commit suicide, leaving the 2 of them behind. But her family owed a lot of gambling debts. To pay off the debts, her mother worked several part-time jobs. In the end, she became ill from overwork and died. Wang Yue was kicked around a few relatives' houses like a ball. Later, she heard that Mount Amei was accepting female disciples, so she borrowed some money and ran all the way to Mount Amei. Yu Ruoying was originally closed, but seeing that Wang Yue was talented, she was happy and made an exception to accept her as her last disciple. If her martial arts were crippled and she was expelled from the sect, Wang Yue would really be finished. Thinking of this, her tears burst out like a dam, flowing out uncontrollably. But she was too afraid, so afraid that she did not even dare to open her mouth to beg. Shut up! Yu Ruoying scolded, scaring the female disciple into lowering her head. Although Wang Yue's wild nature is hard to tame, it is also because she is young and lacks discipline. Wang Yue, today is also an opportunity for you to see your own weakness and lack of virtue. You should also understand how outrageous your mistake is, right? Yes. Little. Disciple knows her mistake. Wang Yue cried uncontrollably. It's good that you know your mistake. When we return, Master will discipline you even more severely. Are you willing? Yes. Disciple is willing. Then do you know Master's good intentions? Little. Disciple knows. Master. Master loves disciple. That's why you hit disciple, stupid. That's not hitting, that's discipline. Yu Ruoying said angrily, as the saying goes, jade that is not cut will not be useful. Do you understand this logic? Don't blame Master, our Amei has been like this for generations. Women are fragile, if they do not train a heart of stone, they will be cheated by men sooner or later. Master hits you, scolds you, but it is really for your own good. Do you know why Master passed clear wind and bright moon to you? Little. Disciple doesn't know, silly girl. I want to pass down the sect to you. As soon as these words came out, the surrounding female disciples were shocked. Each of their faces changed, it was really as ugly as it could be. Now that things have come to this, Master will not hide it from you. Yu Ruoying switched to using voice transmission and said to the 6 disciples in front of the table, Master is suffering from cancer, I don't think I will live for long. As soon as the disciples heard, their eyes all turned red, but Yu Ruoying scolded again. Hold back your tears. This is someone else's place, you are not allowed to cry. We, the disciples of Amei, will definitely not cry in front of outsiders. Once she scolded them, the disciples could only hold back their tears. Amei sect is a big sect, but when it came to my generation, your martial uncles and martial aunts were all unlucky, and they passed away a long time ago. We can't pass the position of sect leader to Grandmaster and the others, right? I told you not to cry, hold it back. The reason why I told you all this in such a hurry is because I have a secret that I must tell you. Chapter 1434. Yu Ruoying sat in front of the table and announced that she had cancer with a calm expression. However, she did not let her disciples be sad. Instead, she slowly announced something else. Amay's secret. The female disciples guessed. They had been in the sect for so many years, but why had they never heard of any secret? At that moment, they had forgotten that their sect leader was suffering from cancer. Only Wang Yue was still sad about it. She did not care about the secret. However, her master's health was the most important thing. Amay sect has always been hiding a shocking secret that only the sect leader will pass down from generation to generation. But now that Amay is in danger, I will no longer adhere to this rule. I will tell you. Master, your body. Just as Wang Yue spoke, her master glared at her. Shut up and listen to me. Yu Ruoying's expression turned serious and she continued, this matter is very important. It concerns my life. Wang Yue endured the pain in her heart and continued to listen to Yu Ruoying. Right now, the martial arts world has been talking about the hero's token. Do you know about it? The disciples nodded. The hero's token has a true immortal incantation hidden in it. However, everyone does not know that Amay actually has a meridian chart that can assist in the cultivation of this immortal technique. If a normal person practices this incantation, they can cleanse their bones and marrow and begin to cultivate qi. However, if they practice it according to the meridian chart, they can understand the true realm of the first realm. Then, they can get rid of all diseases and increase their lifespan by 100 years. Yu Ruoying's eyes brightened. In other words, as long as I can get the hero's token and the incantation, I can practice the true immortal incantation and enter the qi refining realm. At that time, my disease will naturally be cured. As Yu Ruoying spoke, she looked in the direction of the first seat. However, the hero's token is currently in Li Fan's hands. He is known as the Little Tyrant. He is ruthless and cruel. Even if I want the hero's token, I am afraid that he will not give it to me. Besides, there are many experts in the Seven Knights Villa. With Amay's strength, even if we want to snatch it, we are not their opponents. Master, you mean, one of the female disciples was more quick-witted. When she saw her master's expression, she instantly understood something. Yes, I need a disciple to infiltrate the Seven Chivalry Mountain Villa and help me obtain the hero's token's incantation. As Yu Ruoying spoke, her gaze fell on Wang Yue. Her gaze was filled with a profound meaning. Master reprimanded you just now not only to discipline you, but also to put on a show for the people of the Seven Knights Villa. Yue, tell me, do you hate Master? I don't hate. Yue doesn't hate, that's right. Although you're a bit naughty and mischievous, I've raised you up. As a member of a righteous sect, you should be filial to me like a parent. Now that they think that you've been wronged, you can take this opportunity to enter the Seven Heroes Villa and follow them to the sea. Wang Yue's eyes opened wide. She had never imagined that her master would actually give her such a task. Little Overlord Li Fan, this person, is rumored to be lustful towards women. Now that I've arrived at this manor house, from what I've seen and heard, this place is filled with pleasure and women. I reckon that what Li Fan said about being lecherous should be true. Master. You want me to? The expression on Wang Yue's charming face changed slightly. Yes, you can stay here with peace of mind. Master's life is now in your hands. Wang Yue became silent, but Yu Ruoying did not give her a chance to object. The woman fiercely slammed the table, making a loud bang. This time, the sound was so loud that everyone present heard it. Everyone stopped eating and drinking and looked at the Amay sect leader, not knowing what she wanted to do. Don't cry, you deceiving ancestor-destroying thing. Yu Ruoying pointed at her own disciple's nose and scolded, from today onwards, you are no longer my Amay disciple. Everyone was in an uproar. My goodness, this Amay sect leader was too competitive. Her disciple lost in a sword duel, and she was going to kick her out of the mountain. Master, Wang Yue cried so hard that her voice could not be heard. The senior sisters at the side all muttered in their hearts, this little girl's acting is really good. But a few of them knew that Wang Yue was not acting, but really wanted to cry. She had stayed in Amay for a long time, and she had feelings for it. Although Master liked to scold and beat her, for so long, Yu Ruoying was indeed her backbone. But at this moment, she had to leave Immerse and go to another unfamiliar place. How could she not be sad? Furthermore, Master was seriously ill. If she could not steal the true immortal arts, Master would not be able to be saved. And little Overlord Li Fan was lustful by nature. She might fall into his evil hands and stain her innocence. Why was her life so bitter? The heavens were too unfair to her. Sect leader Yu, she only lost once. There is no need to expel her from the sect, right? Imperial concubine Ju lightly sighed, walked forward, and asked. Senior, this is only my Immerse family matter. Yu Ruoying cupped her hands and said. Fine, then this consort will follow your wishes and accept her. Imperial concubine Ju said in a low voice, causing Yu Ruoying's body to tremble. From today onwards, you are a disciple of my villa. Like Yin Juju, you are also a first-generation disciple. Later, let me think about what kind of martial arts to teach you. Imperial concubine Ju said, took Wang Yue and walked to the side. Yu Ruoying sat there blankly, as if her brain was a bit broken. I know that you were sent by sect leader Yu to steal the true immortal arts. After pulling Wang Yue to her side, Imperial concubine Ju did not hide anything and transmitted her voice to the little girl, causing Wang Yue's eyes to be filled with fear. But don't worry, I won't tell anyone. Your talent is not bad, I admire it very much. If possible, I want to personally teach you martial arts. Ah! Wang Yue was immediately stunned. Learn martial arts from the undead evil Buddha? Become the disciple of Imperial concubine Ju? This was simply the dream of every martial grandmaster. The little girl's eyes rolled around, unable to make up her mind. All right, from now on, you will follow me. Imperial concubine Ju suddenly laughed, stunning everyone. You should be glad. If it was in the past, that Yu Ruoying's methods were simply child's play compared to mine. Wang Yue did not speak, her mind was particularly chaotic, she could only sit there and cry silently. Imperial concubine Ju also did not force her, waiting for her to figure it out herself. Everyone's dinner was also messy, many heroes gathered together, toasting each other, trying to make friends with each other. However, no one came to Jiang Feng's side, he just sat there with a few experts of the Imperial Army, quietly eating. Jiang Feng was restless, he suddenly put down his chopsticks and loudly asked. Elder Xia, my sworn brother Li Fan, why doesn't he come out to eat with everyone? Chapter 1435. Jiang Feng's sudden words silenced the crowd again. Everyone looked at Jiang Feng, not knowing what he was going to do. Master Jiang, the villa master, is currently recuperating in seclusion. Xia Hu said again, Master Jiang, don't you already know? Why bother asking? Recuperating also requires eating. Jiang Feng raised the wine cup in his hand and said with a smile, how can you recuperate on an empty stomach? Why don't you come out? There's good wine and good meat here. After eating, you can reminisce about the old days with me, your big brother. How about that? Master Jiang, aren't you making things difficult for me? At this time, a familiar voice sounded from the side. Everyone turned to look and saw a beautiful young lady slowly walking over from the side. She had a ponytail and wore a light yellow windbreaker. Her slender legs were wearing a pair of snow-white sneakers. The young lady's appearance was somewhat similar to Jiang Feng. Both of them were beautiful and handsome, born with good genes. However, the difference was that the young lady's jade-like face was filled with killing intent, while Jiang Feng's smile was filled with daggers. Second senior sister, you're back? Ah, senior sister, you seem to be more mature than before. The people from the Seven Heroes Villa enthusiastically surrounded her. As the second seat disciple, Jiang Yi was like an idol in their eyes. Le Xiaohu and Jiang Yi had gone down the mountain to train, causing the disciples to miss them very much. Senior sister, you're finally back. Yin Juju excitedly greeted her, my dragon subduing sword has improved. Can you teach me a few more moves? Everyone looked at Yin Juju with jealousy. The dragon subduing sword was one of the 9 great absolute arts of the villa. It was a high-grade external art that ordinary disciples could not come into contact with. Even if one was one of the 7 heroes' sword guardians, they could only learn 3 of the moves. However, it was not that the disciples could not learn the 9 great absolute arts, but high-grade martial arts had to be paired with high-grade internal energy. Most of these disciples had not even reached the 9th level of the 7 heroes force, so how could they come into contact with true high-grade martial arts? Martial arts was a gradual process that required time to slowly develop. However, for these young disciples, who would not want to learn a few powerful high-grade external arts, Yin Juju learned 5 moves of the dragon subduing sword, causing the other disciples to be extremely envious. Greedy. 5 moves are enough for you to learn. Jiang Yi held onto the extraordinary sword and said straightforwardly, every move of the dragon subduing sword has hundreds of variations. Even I have only comprehended the true essence of one move. Senior sister is right. Yin Juju lowered his head in regret. He was so pleased with himself just now that he forgot himself. Who's this? Jiang Yi pointed at Long Bailey and asked Xia who. Why didn't I see him when we were protecting the dragon god of China? What kind of demon is he? Long Bailey's face turned red and he shouted, you ignorant little girl, I'm the sect master of Kongtong Sec. I'm Long Bailey. Oh, so you're here to thank my master? Jiang Yi was definitely not any worse than her brother when it came to scheming. The little girl looked at Long Bailey with a serious face and asked, then I really have to thank you. Master mentioned to me that the people of Kongtong sect are all righteous sects, so you must be someone who knows how to repay kindness, right? Long Bailey was quite embarrassed and didn't know how to reply. The little girl's words actually made him speechless. If he were to say anything more, he would really have to bear the name of an ungrateful person. Little girl, you have a sharp tongue. Wu Yangzi looked at Jiang Yi with a smile, but everyone is doing this for your own good, lest you lose later and embarrass the 7 Knights Villa. Thank you for your concern, Daoist. Jiang Yi looked at him without a trace of fear in her eyes. Although I'm not talented, I only have the strength of the Great Perfection Realm. But there are no cowards in the 7 Knights Villa. Not to mention the Great Perfection Realm, even if you're at the Great Perfection Realm, I dare to fight you. Her words had a double meaning, and the people present were discussing it. This little girl is only 14 or 15 years old, right? She's already at the Great Perfection Realm? Isn't the disciple of the 7 Knights Villa a bit too terrifying? Is she bragging? Chapter 1436. On the other hand, Jiang Yi's words seemed to be intentionally or unintentionally mocking Long Bailey. Previously, when they were banned from fighting and took elixirs, their cultivation returned to the point of perfection and could no longer improve. But because of this, they all hid themselves and hid their heads and tails. Jiang Yi's mockery made Long Bailey feel embarrassed, but he did not know what to say. This little girl had a sharp tongue. It was not appropriate to quarrel with her, and it was beneath his dignity. Wu Yangzi, what are you talking about? If they want to fight, let them fight. Long Bailey could only shout, life and death are decreed by fate. Even if there is an accident, it is self-inflicted. Just as Long Bailey finished speaking, he suddenly felt a chill behind him. He subconsciously turned around and found Jiang Feng sitting there, looking at him with a gloomy smile. Long Bailey's heart immediately became perturbed. What the fuck? Why is the commander of the Royal Army looking at me like this? Could it be that he is plotting against me? Suddenly, he remembered that Jiang Yi was Jiang Feng's sister. Although his words were straightforward, it seemed that he had offended Jiang Feng. Damn it, I am the sect leader of the 6 major sect. Why am I afraid of these Jianghu rookies? Omit of her, it is only a martial arts competition, not a competition of internal strength. As a martial arts fanatic, Master Yu Shu naturally had the awareness of a martial arts fanatic. He put his palms together and proposed a condition that was beneficial to Jiang Yi. Master Yu Shu, you don't have to be so polite. You are a grandmaster, and this strength is also obtained from your bitter cultivation. Jiang Yi directly rejected the master's good intentions. Since it is a martial arts competition, we are both internal and external cultivators. Why can't we use our internal strength? Heh. Wu Yangzi smiled contemptuously. Master is doing this for your own good, but you actually overestimate yourself. Do you want to die? Jiang Yi, don't mess around. Jiang Feng started to worry as well. His concern caused his mind to be in a mess. Don't look down on the disciples of our 7 Knights Villa. Jiang Yi said proudly, Master Yu Shu, please don't be lenient. As a martial artist, I will have a real martial arts competition with you. Amitabha, that's fine too. Master Yu Shu nodded, then, young benefactor, please enlighten me. The two of you, this place is small. Grandmasters, please move out. Let's compete outside. Xia Hu said hurriedly. Good, good, good. Little benefactor, please. Master, please. The two of them cupped their fists and walked out together. Everyone looked at Jiang Yi's petite back and muttered in their hearts. Jiang Yi was so young, but his aura didn't belong to a grandmaster like Yu Shu. Her future strength was probably limitless, but this glory was in the future, not now. If one really painstakingly studies a martial art, even if it is an entry-level Shaolin martial art, how can it not be a supreme art? Back then, my master only practiced the 5 animal frolics, but he developed the 5 animal frolics into a famous 7 gallant fist. Later, with this as the foundation, my master created the 9 dragons art, creating 9 supreme art. This dragon subduing sword is only one of his arts. But in the end, the origin of my master's martial art is just an ordinary 5 animal frolics. Amitabha. Young benefactor, you are right. This old monk is too obsessed. Master Yu Shu put his palms together and looked ashamed. You little girl, can you fight or not? Stop talking so much. A self-created sword art is not a supreme art, a person from the Kongtong sect shouted. Before he could finish his words, Jiang Yi suddenly appeared in front of him. At the same time, the extraordinary sword in her hand was pointed at his throat. Even if you are guests, I will not allow you to insult the martial arts of my villa. Jiang Yi's voice was cold and murderous, making the Kongtong sect disciples' forehead drip with cold sweat. Little girl, don't be presumptuous. Long Bailey was furious. He directly slapped the top of Jiang Yi's head. Jiang Feng's face was filled with killing intent. He was about to attack. But Jiang Yi had already moved. She pointed her long sword at Long Bailey's palm. Chapter 1437. Long Bailey smiled coldly. His palm was wrapped in true qi. Even if this girl's sword was an iron blade, it would still be smashed by his iron palm. This girl was really courting death, so he would fulfill her wish. Long Bailey was originally feeling proud, but with a poochie sound, his palm was actually pierced by the sword. Long Bailey screamed in pain, retracted his palm, and looked at the girl in front of him in shock. Sect leader Long, why did you do this? Jiang Yi smiled. Aren't you looking down on my 7 Knights Villa's internal energy? We practice primordial qi, which is a level higher than true qi. Your protective upstanding qi is like paper under my sword infused with inner force. Long Bailey sealed the qi and blood in his palm. He was shocked and angry as he stared at Jiang Yi in front of him. Okay, the troublemaker is gone. Master Yu Shu, let's compete. Jiang Yi returned to Master Yu Shu and said. Everyone looked at Jiang Yi's back with some reverence. However, although she injured Long Bailey, everyone muttered in their hearts that she had a high-level internal energy. If she really fought with sect leader Long, he would not lose to her. Amitabha. Young benefactor's murderous aura is too heavy. If this goes on for too long, it will be detrimental to your physical and mental cultivation. You can cultivate your mind by chanting scriptures. Forget about chanting scriptures, I don't have that talent. Jiang Yi shrugged, let's compete with swords. Master, this dragon subduing sword has a total of 12 moves. It was created by my master. This disciple is not talented and has only learned 20% to 30%. Master, please advise me. Amitabha, please. Master Yu Shu was fully focused. He did not underestimate Jiang Yi. Although this little girl was young, she gave off an aggressive vibe. He had long heard that Li Fan had 2 treasured disciples, a man and a woman. The man was called Le Xiaohu and the woman was called Jiang Yi. Both of them were extremely talented and had made a name for themselves in the Jianghu during this period of time. However, between the two of them, senior brother Le Xiaohu was obviously more high profile. He traveled thousands of miles and actually found the pugilistic world's largest assassin organization, Yama Palace. This young man single-handedly crippled the martial arts of all the experts from King of Hell's palace, from the white plate to the bronze plate. There was even a super assassin from the red brand, but he could only fight Le Xiaohu to a draw and watch Le Xiaohu leave. As for Jiang Yi, when she heard that Long Fengyu had insulted the Seven Heroes Villa, she simply ran to the Seven Heroes Villa's headquarters, took advantage of the night, drew a bastard on Long Fengyu's face, and left. The West Howling Wind headquarters was heavily guarded, but Jiang Yi was able to come and go as he pleased as if he was walking through his own city gate. It was a great embarrassment to their alliance master. Now that Jiang Yi had defeated Long Bailey with a single sword strike, his reputation would probably be even greater in the future. At such a young age, he had already made such a name for himself. He was even more impressive than Li Fan and Murong Ying back then. Young benefactor, be careful of this old monk's 1000 Buddha palm. As Master Yu Shu spoke, he had already used the unique lightness skill of Shaolin Temple. He crossed the river on a reed and instantly appeared in front of River Yi. A martial arts fanatic was indeed a martial arts fanatic. Once it was time for a fight, he would be extremely serious. Master Yu Shu had a solemn expression on his face as he released a palm strike towards River Yi. Countless palm shadows appeared in the air. They were all formed by Master Yu Shu's palm wind. 1000 Buddha palm. It was as if there were 1000 Buddhas attacking at the same time. If an ordinary expert saw this move, they would probably not know how to deal with it. However, River Yi was different. Her expression did not change as she stood there. She seemed to casually stab with the sword in her hand. White Dragon Steel's heart. River Yi did not care about the palm shadows around her at all. She only stabbed her sword towards Master Yu Shu's heart. The layers of palm shadows could not trap River Yi's sword. Jiang Yi broke through the palm wind and instantly arrived in front of Master Yu Shu's heart. The dragon subduing sword did not retreat, it only attacked. This sword technique focused on speed and attack. Attack was the best defense. Master Yu Shu could not help but change his expression. He struck out 3 palms in a row. The first palm struck away River Yi's sword. Then, he struck out with both palms and rushed towards River Yi again. River Yi used the White Dragon Steel's heart again and ignored Master Yu Shu's palms. In the eyes of ordinary experts, this kind of method was a suicidal fighting style. However, in the eyes of the top experts, it was a brilliant move. River Yi's sword was extremely fast. Even Master Yu Shu's palm wind was not as fast as her sword. Before she was hit, her sword would definitely pierce through Master Yu Shu's heart. Moreover, she cultivated the Seven Knights Villa's vitality, which was a level higher than true Qi. Master Yu Shu's protective energy shield was useless against her sword. In comparison, Master Yu Shu's hands and feet were naturally tied. He could only retreat again while slapping away River Yi's sword at the same time. Long Bailey could not help but scold, "Silly girl, you are just relying on your high level of inner strength. Sect leader Long, don't use these words to mock me." River Yi smiled, "My villa's inner strength is exquisite. Do you think I need to take care of you weaklings? Moreover, I have already agreed with Master Yu Shu that in the competition, we will use our inner strength. There is no need to hold back." This group of experts' faces turned cold. Good heavens, everyone present instantly became the weaklings. However, the inner strength that she cultivated was indeed stronger. Her vitality was a level higher than true Qi. This was an indisputable fact. In the martial arts world, the strong were respected. Although they could not accept it, this group of people could only grit their teeth and swallow it. Amitabha, you are right. Master Yu Shu nodded. This old monk has 60 years of inner strength. Young benefactor's cultivation of vitality is much fairer. Master is still open-minded. Let us continue. River Yi carried the black extraordinary sword. Although she was young, She was full of heroic spirit. This made Wang Yue surprised. They were both girls, but why was she so much stronger than her? You don't have to be jealous. Imperial concubine Ju seemed to see through her disciple's thoughts and said, the hardships that River Yi has suffered are several times more than yours, dozens of times more. With such hardships, she has the strength that she has today. How could she suffer more than her? Wang Yue subconsciously did not believe it. Amitabha, golden light suppression. Master Yu Shu's thousand Buddha palm originally relied on inner strength. He constantly moved around River Yi, looking for an opportunity to suddenly slap down with his palm. A huge gust of wind from the palm directly pressed down. The power of this palm was not weak. Even River Yi's body was sealed in it. In this close combat, Master Yu Shu was really helpless against this hedgehog, River Yi. Therefore, he chose to distance himself and use Thousand Buddha Palm to release his inner strength to attack River Yi. However, River Yi faintly smiled. She stood there and tied a chain hanging from her waist to the hilt of her sword. River Yi let go of the sword and threw it out. However, she grabbed the chain and used the chain to transmit her inner energy to control the sword. Chapter 1438. Jiang Yi was too young, and her understanding of inner force was not as deep as Li Fan's. Thus, it was still difficult for her to use her inner force to control the sword. However, Jiang Yi thought of a trick. She used a chain to connect it to the extraordinary sword. The chain was more than 3 meters long. After throwing it out, she controlled it with her inner force, and its power was not any weaker than the imperial sword. When Jiang Yi went out to train, she had perfected this long-range swordsmanship to the point of perfection. When Yu Shu used his palm to restrict her body, Jiang Yi used this move to use the white dragon steals the heart again, forcing Master Yu Shu to dodge. Good. Master Yu Shu's eyes lit up. I didn't expect a young girl to have practiced this swordsmanship to such a high level. Back then, I was far inferior to you. But you only use one move, and I don't like it. Why don't you use a few more? That depends on your skills, Master. Jiang Yi's reply was extremely proud. Amitabha. Young benefactor, take this. As Yu Shu spoke, he stood there and slapped his palm at Jiang Yi. Body redemption. Yu Shu's palm was infused with 60 years of inner force. It came with great momentum. Sensing danger, Jiang Yi subconsciously used an iron bridge and fell to the ground. Boom. The wall behind Jiang Yi was directly hit by Master Yu Shu's palm. The light from the house shone on the palm, and there were layers of cracks around it. It was terrifying. How was this still redemption? It was clearly expiation. The surrounding people were already cheering. Master Yu Shu's 60 years of inner force was not for nothing. This palm technique was even more exquisite, and his control of inner force had reached the acme of perfection. To be able to leave such a clear palm print on the wall without breaking it, Yu Shu was definitely a master. Jiang Yi lay on the ground. Before she could get up, Yu Shu had already appeared in front of her, and at the same time, he pressed his palm on Jiang Yi's shoulder. After all, she was a girl. Even if Yu Shu's 5 scanders were empty, he would still be embarrassed to hit her chest. It was extremely difficult to use the white dragon steals the heart from this angle. Jiang Yi's life was hanging by a thread under the pressure of the palm wind. Jiang Feng's eyes were filled with killing intent. If Jiang Yi was injured, he would never let anyone off. What bullshit Jianghu? What bullshit martial arts competition? They were all just excuses to bully the weak. Just when everyone thought that Jiang Yi would definitely lose, Jiang Yi actually laughed. Dragon to the 9 heavens. In the dragon subduing sword created by Li Fan, there was such a move. It was a sword technique that calculated the moment the enemy was subdued to the ground, and then neutralized it. Jiang Yi suddenly bounced up from the ground. With a shake of his long sword, he grabbed the sword with both hands. As for the other techniques, they are too profound. Apart from the 2 of us, the rest of the people in the villa don't know them. That's a pity. Yu Shu sighed. If I could see the other techniques, this old monk would be satisfied. This consort knows a move called the Dragon Catcher Hand. Master, Do you want to see it? Imperial concubine Ju smiled indifferently, mesmerizing thousands of men. The dragon catcher hand is our sect's supreme technique. How did it become yours? Qingcheng sect's Wang Zheni immediately spoke with a somewhat arrogant expression. His Qingcheng sect's basic technique was Shadowless Hand, and the advanced technique was Dragon Catcher Hand. Yet, the Seven Knights Villa said that it was their technique. What a joke! This consort knows a thing or two about the Qingcheng sect's Dragon Catcher Hand. Imperial concubine Ju glanced at Wang Zheni. That is a grappling technique. It is indeed powerful. However, our Dragon Catcher Hand. Come and take a look. As Imperial concubine Ju spoke, she suddenly stretched out her jade-like hand from her sleeve and made a grabbing motion. Wang Zheni's body immediately slid toward Imperial concubine Ju. He turned pale with fright. He wanted to stabilize his body, but his feet continuously stomped on the ground. He couldn't stop himself and was directly pulled to the front by Imperial concubine Ju's Dragon Catcher Hand. Imperial concubine Ju grabbed Wang Zheni's head. A surge of power instantly poured into Wang Zheni's head, directly sealing all the major acupoints in his body. This dignified Qingcheng sect's sect leader was directly fixed there, turning into a statue. Chapter 1439. Imperial concubine Ju practiced an evil technique that sucked people away. Therefore, Li Fan felt that if she practiced the Dragon Catcher Hand, it would be a piece of cake for her. It would be like adding wings to a tiger. At this time, Imperial concubine Ju used the Dragon Catcher Hand and immediately subdued a Qingcheng sect leader, scaring a group of martial arts experts. Fuck! How could they deal with the Dragon Catcher Hand? Even the Qingcheng sect leader could only surrender. Could they do it? Wasn't this technique a bit too frightening? It was truly a lost technique of the martial arts world. After learning the Dragon Catcher Hand, not to mention anything else, they would basically be invincible in a fight with someone of the same level. Moreover, they would be able to surprise an opponent of a higher level and defeat him in one move. Were the 9 lost techniques of their villa really that powerful? Swish! Imperial concubine Ju's sleeve swept across Wang Zheni's body and unsealed his acupuncture points. Wang Zheni blushed and hid in the crowd, not wanting to come out again. The Qingcheng sect had lost a lot of face. Amazing. This is too amazing. Great Master Yu Shu sighed repeatedly. We are like frogs at the bottom of a well. It's really lamentable. Even Wu Jizzy, who had a pure heart and few desires, couldn't help but sigh. You don't need to worry about it. Imperial concubine Ju retracted her hand back into her sleeve and said with a smile, there are so many martial arts in the world, and each martial art has its own subtlety. Thousand Buddha Palm and Taiji Fist were both unique skills when they were first created. It's just that later generations understood them, they lacked some flavor. Even if it's the unique skills of our manner, after a few hundred years, I'm afraid our martial arts will change a little. Imperial concubine Ju was someone who had lived for several hundred years. Her words made everyone silent. According to Imperial concubine Ju, several hundred years ago, the martial arts of these sects should have been very powerful. Everyone, today's competition is over. Please rest early. Tomorrow morning, the Golden Basin washing ceremony will begin. Xia who walked out and said, everyone, please move to the bamboo garden. That was a place for other Jianghu swordsmen to stay. Li Fan had built a side courtyard. After Li Fan and the rest move away, these will be left behind as a holiday villa for Chinese tourists. Anyway, the right to use the land here temporarily belonged to Li Fan. He had to continue squeezing out the value of this place. Everyone followed Xia Hu all the way to the Jade Bamboo Garden. Wang Yue followed Imperial concubine Ju to the Eastern Palace where she lived. The Eastern Palace was built by Li Fan according to Imperial concubine Ju's preferences. It was a palace garden in the style of the Ming dynasty. Imperial concubine Ju walked inside. Wang Yue followed closely behind her, but she was quite nervous and didn't dare to say a word. Before she left, she noticed the look in her master's eyes. It was a look of trust. Yes, master trusts me. I must do my best to please Imperial Concubine Ju and then take the opportunity to take away the hero's token. Why are you so reserved? Sit down. Imperial Consort Ju pointed at the chair in front of her. I don't dare. Wang Yue was still very afraid of Imperial Concubine Ju. That Qingcheng sect leader was captured by her in one move. How could a small character like her be the opponent of this devil queen? Not to mention herself, even her master couldn't defeat her, right? Don't hold a grudge in your heart. Since you've entered my school, you're my person. Imperial Concubine Ju was a very protective person. If you want, I'll help you ask for the hero's token from Li Fan. Ah, Ju. Master. You're really willing? Wang Yue was surprised. Was Imperial Concubine Ju deceiving her? If there is, I can naturally help you ask for it. But as far as I know, Li Fan doesn't have the hero's token right now. Imperial Concubine Ju sat on the bed and casually said, "You all think that boy is hiding a treasure. In fact, how many of you know the pain? But, Master, everyone in Jianghu said that Li Fan caught the nine-tailed divine fox. That's true, but the nine-tailed divine fox is sealed. I don't know when it will wake up." Imperial Concubine Ju chuckled. Besides, if there really is a perfected immortal technique, that boy would have given it to the sisters in the manor to practice. Legend has it that this technique can preserve one's beauty. Who doesn't want their women to maintain their beauty? But today, the manor lord is in seclusion. Isn't he practicing this technique? Look at you, you've been led astray by your master. Imperial Concubine Ju shook her head. He doesn't even try to verify it. He's making a decision based on his own speculation. Let me ask you, have you ever seen Li Fan practicing the perfected immortal technique with your own eyes? No, I haven't. Then how can you be so sure that he's practicing this technique? But according to reason? Who set the reason? Isn't it just your so-called righteous sect's wild guesses? Imperial Concubine Ju sneered. Moreover, that boy is very arrogant. At that time, I gave him my technique, but he didn't want to learn it. Instead, he wanted to study the seven hero fist. Even if there really is a perfected immortal technique, with his arrogance, I'm afraid he's too lazy to practice it. An immortal technique that can allow one to become an immortal. Is there anyone who doesn't practice it? Wang Yue felt confused. This is where you guys are inferior to him. When Imperial Concubine Ju said this, her eyes were full of vigor. He never follows the rules and follows the footsteps of his predecessors. If there really is a path to become an immortal, he will certainly use his own method to walk on this great Tao, even if he has to overcome all obstacles along the way. Disciple can't understand. Wang Yue didn't believe that there would be such a person in this world. Who wouldn't want to practice the method to become an immortal? If this kind of thing was thrown into Jianghu, it would set off a reign of terror. Whether it's true or not, you will naturally know in the future. Imperial Concubine Ju waved her hand. She looked at the beautiful little girl in front of her, but she had her own thoughts in her heart. The reason why she wanted to accept this girl as her disciple was because she saw that this girl had this kind of talent, which was hard to come by in 100 years. Secondly, Imperial Concubine Ju had learned a strange technique. She could see that Wang Yue was the master of a rare famous tool. As long as she taught her a bit, this girl would definitely be able to use a sword to behead a fool in bed and subdue that Li Fan. Li Fan's harem was gradually expanding. If she didn't think of a way, she was afraid that she wouldn't be able to keep Li Fan's heart. As long as she trained this girl, she would be able to serve Li Fan in bed with her. Humph, she wasn't afraid that this boy wouldn't think about her day and night. Come, let this concubine teach you some martial arts. Thank you, Master. What kind of martial arts will Master teach this disciple today? Wang Yue thought about how she could learn martial arts from a top expert. In the end, she was still a young girl, so she became a bit happy. Perhaps Imperial Concubine Ju would casually teach her a divine technique. Today's first lesson, charm technique. Chapter 1440. Imperial Concubine Ju was training her new disciple, while on the other side, Jiang Yi was excitedly looking for her master. When she returned to the sect, the first thing she wanted to do was to find her master. She didn't expect to encounter a bunch of trivial matters. After she finished dealing with them, it was already late. Jiangyi heard that her master was in seclusion in the small pavilion at the center of the lake, so she first washed up and cleaned herself up before coming to the side of the small pavilion at the center of the lake, asking to see Li Fan. Disciple Jiangyi greets master. The 4 beautiful sword maids stood at the side, looking at Jiangyi with a strange expression, which made Jiangyi a bit puzzled. What's going on? Why are they looking at me like this? Is my face dirty? Or is my clothes a bit messy? Jiangyi looked at the lake and looked at herself. She found that she was still beautiful, so she let out a sigh of relief. Jiangyi is back. Come, let master take a look. A crisp voice came from the small pavilion. Jiangyi felt a bit strange. Whose child was this? Why did he come to tease her? Jiangyi looked at the center of the lake and saw a dignified boy, about 3 or 4 years old, sitting in the pavilion, smiling at her. Child, who are you? How dare you play in my master's pavilion? Jiangyi immediately reprimanded, and the boy immediately became embarrassed. Cough cough. How can you not even recognize master? If you talk nonsense again, I will tear your mouth. Jiangyi subconsciously reprimanded, and suddenly understood something. If it was a child from another family, would the 4 sword maids all be guarding here? Jiangyi was very smart, and in an instant, a bold and exaggerated idea appeared in her mind. You are. Master. It's me. The boy jumped down from the stone chair that was even taller than him, and patted his small chest. What, you don't even recognize master? Master. Your change is a bit too big. Master reversed yin and yang, reversed the flow of internal energy, and became like this. Li Fan pointed at his own boy appearance. Probably for the whole day tomorrow, I will maintain this appearance. Fortunately, it's only the body that degenerated, not the brain. Otherwise, I would cry. Li Fan didn't expect that there would be such an effect after mastering yin-yang reversal. He had to regain the appearance of a child every 81 days. He was probably a little too weak today. Even the heavenly mountain Tonglaro could maintain the appearance of an 8-year-old girl. She was much stronger than him. Right now, his little brother hadn't even fully developed yet. Wouldn't he be laughed at by a few women? This is master's secret. You mustn't reveal it. Li Fan repeatedly reminded Jiangyi that if others knew about his secret, it would become his fatal weakness. Every day, he would probably face a bloody calamity. Jiangyi looked at her master and suddenly felt that her master's appearance was rather cute. Aya, too cute. If only she could hug her master. Jiangyi, don't I look a bit strange? Li Fan saw some clues and asked. No. I think it suits master very well. Jiangyi felt that her master was cute and approachable. She really liked him. Do you think that master is easy to bully? Li Fan chuckled. When I maintain this appearance, although I don't have any inner force, there is a power that is unprecedentedly huge. However, there is a power that is unprecedentedly huge. What power is it? Li Fan didn't tell Jiangyi. This is a secret. Only master can know. It wasn't that he didn't believe Jiangyi, but the walls had ears. Who knew if this secret would be heard by others? Disciple believes in master. No matter what, master will always be the strongest. Good disciple, I heard that before you came, you helped master scare those people outside. Li Fan couldn't go out. He could only ask Jiangyi about the excitement outside. There are all kinds of monsters outside. They want to take advantage of master's absence to bully the villa. Disciple naturally can't tolerate it. Jiangyi was a little indignant. If disciple's dragon subduing sword didn't improve, I really wouldn't be a match for those guys. Master, most of the people from the 6 major sects are cruel and unscrupulous people. Why do you need to save them? In disciple's opinion, they should all be slaughtered. Jiangyi made a cutting gesture. That murderous look caused Li Fan to be a little surprised. This girl was good in every aspect, but her murderous aura was too heavy. After going down the mountain to gain experience, not only did she not dissolve her evil aura, she became even fiercer. After all, the Jianghu was dangerous. Jiang Yi also had that kind of past. It was hard not to have a body full of evil aura. Jiang Yi, your killing intent is too heavy. Li Fan leaned on the stone bench, looked at the murderous Jiang Yi, and sighed, you should accompany me more, so that I can help you dissolve your evil aura. Master is right. But disciple feels that master needs a person with evil aura like me by his side. Jiang Yi spoke out his thoughts, eldest senior brother, and I just happened to inherit two characteristics of master. Eldest senior brother is chivalrous, while I am unruly. If I was also chivalrous, I wouldn't be able to make up for eldest senior brother's shortcomings. What you said seems to make some sense. Li Fan nodded, but if your evil aura is too heavy, it will be difficult for you to achieve the great Tao. For example, the 6 great sects are indeed somewhat ungrateful. But your master, I am working hard to restore the pugilistic world, not because I want the 6 great sects to repay their kindness. Master hopes that Huaxia will not lose its most precious wealth and history. Master doesn't care about other things. Hearing a 3-year-old child say such compassionate words, Jiang Yi wanted to laugh, but did not dare to. What? Did master say something wrong? Why is your expression a little twitching? No, nothing. Maybe the wind is too strong, so my face is a little stiff. That's true, it must have been hard for you to rush back. Go rest early, you still have to participate in the Golden Basin washing ceremony tomorrow. But master, how are you going to hold the Golden Basin washing ceremony with this appearance? Jiang Yi hurriedly asked. Master has already thought of a countermeasure. Chun-er. Yes, husband. Chun-er slowly walked in front of Jiang Yi, took out an exquisite human skin mask from her bosom, and carefully put it on her face. Soon, another Li Fan appeared in front of Jiang Yi, causing Jiang Yi to be dumbfounded. Your big sister Chun-er knows a little about disguise, she can help me now. Li Fan was a little happy. Taking in these 4 beautiful sword maids was really the right thing to do. This disguise technique is so powerful. Big sister Chun-er, can you teach me? Jiang Yi felt that this thing was too convenient. After learning it, it would be like adding wings to a tiger. Those things are not urgent. Come here, master has something to say to you. Chapter 1441. Jiang Yi did not suspect anything. She immediately got up, crossed the lake, and landed on the pavilion. Jiang Yi, don't panic. As Li Fan spoke, he gently placed his small hand on Jiang Yi's wrist. In an instant, Jiang Yi felt a huge suction force coming from Li Fan's hand. It actually sucked all the inner force in her body into his body. Although Jiang Yi was shocked, she did not move and allowed her master to absorb the inner force in her body. So what if her master sucked away her inner force? Even if her master wanted her life, she would give it to him. But in just a few minutes, the inner force flowed back from her master's hand. Moreover, the inner force that returned to her body was even purer and denser, as if it had risen to another level. Jiang Yi felt so comfortable that she could not help but moan, causing her face to immediately turn red. In front of her master. How could she do this? It was too embarrassing. This is your master's current ability. Li Fan let go of her hand, and the inner force in Jiang Yi's body was completely renewed. Master, you're getting more and more exaggerated. Jiang Yi did not know what to say. Refining the inner force in her body. What kind of ability was her master using? Nonsense, how dare you laugh at your master? Stick up your butt and wait for my spanking. Hearing a familiar reprimand behind her, Jiang Yi turned around and found another Li Fan standing there, glaring at her. Master, disciple was wrong. Hey! She suddenly remembered that this seemed to be Sister Chun-er's impersonation, even the voice was exactly the same. This disguise technique was amazing. Sister Chun-er, you're laughing at me. Hey, Jiang Yi, you're so cute. Chun-er hugged Jiang Yi in her arms and gently stroked her hair. If it was not for the soft embrace and the fragrance that entered her nose, Jiang Yi would have thought that her master was hugging her. This kind of beauty was not real. What a pity. All right, go and rest. There's nothing else. Yes. Jiang Yi nodded with a red face, but she said again. Master, Please forgive disciple for being unfilial. After I wash my hands, disciple still wants to go out and train. All right. Li Fan didn't force Jiang Yi to stay. Once we reach the Li family island, we naturally won't have any chance to train. Although I'm worried about your hostility, I can't keep you by my side. With more experience, you might even have a chance to change. Thank you, Master. Jiang Yi was really happy to have such a caring master. Master, Jiang Feng is still a potential threat to you. I suggest you get rid of him. Jiang Yi suddenly spoke. No matter what, he's your only brother. However, Li Fan waved his hand. Moreover, Murong Ying said that Jiang Feng will be handed over to her. But, Master, I've made up my mind. Go and rest. He was just a child, yet he waved his hand so maturely. She subconsciously turned around, and didn't know when there were 5 figures standing behind her. These 5 figures were all dressed in black, but they all wore masks of different colors. They were gold, green, blue, red, and black. These 5 people just stood there, and it was unknown whether they were male or female, as if they were one with heaven and earth. What is this? Jiang Yi subconsciously pressed her hand on the hilt of her sword as if she was facing a great enemy. Relax. Liu Zhu snapped her fingers, and the 5 people suddenly flashed and hid into the surrounding forest, disappearing without a trace, as if they had never appeared. But the killing intent they left behind lingered in Jiang Yi's heart for a long time, as if a dagger had been left in Jiang Yi's heart. They are the 5 elements warriors that I trained using the method of the saint. Liu Zhu introduced. Their names are metal, wood, water, fire, and earth. They are the darkness of Li Fan. These people. What is their strength? Jiang Yi couldn't help but ask. These 5 people all have the strength of a generation's grandmaster, and can continue to be trained. I think in time, it's also possible for them to become half-saints. Chapter 1442. What? Jiang Yi was shocked. That's too exaggerated, isn't it? Sage to be. If the cult really has such means, who in the world can be your match? You might not know this, but in order to cultivate the 5 elements warriors, we need a lot of special resources. Liu Zhu explained. First of all, we need 5 loyal men of sacrifice who are willing to become walking corpses for the sake of the person they love. Secondly, the 5 of them can't be too weak, and we also need a good place to refine their immortal corpses. Liu Zhu pointed at the cave and said, I found this place by chance, and it's actually suitable for use. Although the 5 of them are already alive, their physical bodies are completely dead, and I've refined them to be like copper and iron. The martial arts that they practice are not something that can be practiced by living people. In short, it took me a lot of resources to groom these 5 people. Since you can groom 5 people, you can continue to groom them in the future, right? This won't do. A feng shui treasure land can only produce 5 people. Liu Zhu said. Sect Master has looked for many places, but he didn't find it. There's actually one here. It seems that it's really a coincidence. She couldn't help but feel that Li Fan's fate seemed to have been decided a long time ago. Does Li Fan know about these 5 people? Of course he doesn't. Given his personality, he will definitely make them disappear. Liu Zhu sighed and continued. Li Fan is too kind sometimes, and that will become his fatal weakness. Our existence is to make up for this weakness of his, to allow him to become a truly invincible existence. Why did you do that? Jiang Yi asked. Do I need a reason to do that? Liu Zhu laughed and said, Li Fan is my sworn brother, and I can do anything for him. But you're from the cult, right? If the cult wants to kill Li Fan, what will you do? Sect Master? Liu Zhu shook her head and said, Sect Master has been missing for a long time, and he hasn't appeared yet. I think he might have already broken through to the level of immortals and stepped through the void to enter another plane. You're exaggerating. Is Li Wei that strong? Cult Master is very strong, but his method is different from that of Li Fan. Liu Zhu explained, for the sake of becoming stronger, the sect leader can disregard everything and use unscrupulous means. For example, if the sect leader found out about the true immortal art, He would definitely snatch it by hook or by crook to cultivate it and quickly increase his strength. He and Li Fan are two extremes. What if he really appears and wants to harm Li Fan? What does that have to do with me? Liu Zhu winked at Jiang Yi. Chen Junhua is in control of the 5 Elements warriors. I'm only responsible for coming up with ideas. River Yi was a little shocked. Liu Zhu could even do this? Of course, I'm willing to be Master's dagger. Jiang Yi said without hesitation, but if I discover any signs of betrayal, this dagger of mine will immediately stab into your heart. Sure, this is your freedom. Liu Zhu nodded. However, the problem right now isn't me, but another group of people. Do you intend to attack the 6 sects? The 6 sects? They're just some stupid Jianghu rascals. Liu Zhu curled her lips. I don't care about them. What I'm worried about is another threat. Jiang Feng? River Yi had already guessed it. That's right. Liu Zhu's black eyes flashed with hatred. This man's existence is a serious threat to Li Fan's safety. I absolutely cannot allow him to live in this world. Give up. River Yi said, even if the 5 of you move, they're still not Jiang Feng's opponent. Do you understand what kind of existence a saint rank is? In this world, a saint rank is the pinnacle existence. Of course I know that Li Fan is a saint rank expert. In this world, the only few saint rank experts should be Li Fan, Jiang Feng, Murong Ying, Imperial Concubine Zhu, and the Martial Emperor, Liao Zhu. Among the 5 experts, 2 of them are from our villa. However, we don't really understand the strength of the Martial Emperor Palace. Who knows, there might be other hidden saint rank experts. Listening to Liu Zhu's analysis, Jiang Yi felt that it was indeed reasonable. A true saint rank expert is an insurmountable peak. Your 5 experts are indeed powerful, but even if they train to the half-saint rank, even if they work together, they still wouldn't be a match for one of them. I understand, but my current goal is not to get rid of Jiang Feng, but to protect Li Fan. Liu Zhu pointed out a very serious point. If I'm not wrong, Li Fan should be in a state where he can't use his power for the time being, right? How do you know? Have you been to the pavilion in the middle of the lake? No, but I've more or less deduced it. Liu Zhu said confidently. Otherwise, with such a big commotion, it's impossible for Li Fan not to show up. He's not the kind of person who would abandon his own people to train alone. The only explanation is that he's injured, and it's very serious, right? You're really a demon. His master had always told him that Liu Zhu was very smart, and that in terms of guessing people's minds, she was far better than Bai Lin Luo and Lin Yuhin. Jiang Yi didn't believe it before, but now he understood. Bai Lin Luo was mainly responsible for the construction of Li Fan's island, and Lin Yuhin was also using her talents for Li Fan's legitimate business. Thus, it seemed that the only person who could help Li Fan with his plans was Liu Zhu. Moreover, Liu Zhu was unscrupulous in doing things, and was most suitable to help Li Fan. I just want to know, are you willing to deal with Jiang Feng? Liu Zhu said bluntly. He's a saint rank, but his biggest weakness is you. You want me to get close to him, and then kill him? Jiang Yi immediately understood that Liu Zhu's plan was indeed very vicious. This move was definitely fatal to Jiang Feng, and it was also something that Li Fan would never allow. Li Fan would rather go head-on with Jiang Feng than send himself to attack Jiang Feng and do this kind of fratricide. This was Li Fan's principle, the small justice that he had always maintained in his heart. How about it, are you willing to do this? Liu Zhu asked. No problem. Jiang Yi didn't hesitate, and immediately agreed. You're really willing to do it? This time it was Liu Zhu's turn to be surprised. Looking at the woman in front of her, she felt that she was somewhat scary. Of course, I'm only related to him by blood. Jiang Yi's gaze was abnormally firm. As long as I can get rid of Master's enemy, even if I have to die, so what? Good. Liu Zhu clapped her hands. Then tonight, we'll do this. Liu Zhu pulled Jiang Yi, and began to explain her plan. Chapter 1443. The moonlight shone through the window and into the room. Jiang Feng was meditating quietly under the moonlight. Tomorrow was the Golden Basin washing ceremony. For Jiang Feng, it was also the best opportunity to get rid of Li Fan. After all, America had contacted him and promised him all kinds of benefits. They wanted Li Fan's life and the bead that sealed the nine-tailed divine fox on Li Fan. Since it was to get rid of Li Fan, Jiang Feng naturally would not refuse such a thing. However, he was not happy recently. Murong Ying had announced that she would fight him to the death in the martial arts circle convention. After all, Murong Ying was not easy to deal with. Even Jiang Feng was not willing to take the initiative to provoke this girl. She probably wanted to avenge her father. But why didn't she look for Li Fan? Why did she only look for him? Damn it. After all, they were just a couple. He just followed them to fight, but he had attracted the highest hatred. However, the people from Murong's family were his enemies. Since Murong Ying was courting death, he would wait for her to come. Stop, you are not allowed to enter. The scolding of his subordinates came from outside the door. It was so late. Who was looking for him? I want to go in. Who can stop me? A familiar voice came into his ears. Jiang Feng's body suddenly trembled. Let her come in, Jiang Feng immediately ordered. Yes. When the subordinates outside the door heard this, they immediately moved to the side and let the person come in. Jiang Yi opened the door and walked into the room. When Jiang Feng saw her, he was a little excited. He forced himself not to scare his sister. Quick, please sit down. For the first time, Jiang Feng felt a little helpless. This was almost impossible for someone as shrewd as him. But today was an exception. Because the woman in front of him was his only weakness. Sit down, sit down. By the way, I have good snacks here. It was made by a new chef. It tastes very good. Try it. Jiang Feng was a very meticulous person. When he went out, he would also bring a chef with him. All right, that's enough. Jiang Yi looked at him coldly. With your intelligence, you should know why I'm here, right? However, Jiang Feng didn't seem to mind. Instead, he was all smiles. Since we're already here, we can talk about our business later. It's the first time in so many years that we've met each other so freely, isn't it? Jiang Yi didn't say anything. He just stood there with his hand on the hilt of his sword and looked at Jiang Feng, who was talking to himself. I've always dreamed of the day when we can be reunited again. At that time, there was no Jianghu, nor was there any Wulin. Everyone was just together, living a peaceful daily life. Do you really want to destroy Wulin? Do you even need to ask? What's so good about Wulin? Jiang Feng brought some snacks for Jiang Yi, but Jiang Yi refused. You saw how shameful the 6 great system-allocated sects were today, right? Hihi, it's precisely these hypocritical fellows. Many years ago, when we besieged the devil cult and captured our father, they also had a part in it. These people were extremely despicable and despicable. I want them to pay for all the pain that my brother and sister have suffered. Murong Bo is already dead. All the grudges have been settled. It's time for you to stop. Jiang Yi said. Is that so? Jiang Feng pointed outside. The Jianghu that I finally got rid of was restored by Li Fan. Master naturally has his own intentions. How can this kind of person be worthy of being your master? Who knows what methods he used? What a despicable fellow. Shua. A long sword was already pointed at Jiang Feng's throat. I won't allow you to speak ill of master. Jiang Yi said word by word. Jiang Feng's heart was burning with jealousy. Li Fan, this was the man who took away his precious sister. You're my sister, not someone else's. I have no father, no mother, and no brother. Jiang Yi said firmly, there's nothing more to say between us. I'm here today to take your life. If you want my life, then take it. Jiang Feng's eyes became gentle again. Martial world, hegemony, everything is fine. As long as you're happy, I can give you anything, even my life. Then go die. Jiang Yi's eyes slightly fluctuated. But she no longer hesitated and directly stabbed with the long sword in her hand. This sword immediately pierced through Jiang Feng's throat and came out from the back of his head. Jiang Feng's eyes slowly widened. Jiang Yi withdrew her sword, and Jiang Feng's body slowly slid to the ground. Jiang Yi glanced at him and shook off the blood on her sword. She reached out her hand and touched Jiang Feng's chest for a while. After confirming that he was dead, she then turned around and left the room. Not long after she left, a black gas suddenly sprayed out from Jiang Feng's mouth. It spun in the air and covered Jiang Feng's body. Jiang Feng's body slowly rose into the air. The injuries on his body were constantly healing. Soon, Jiang Feng opened his eyes again. After falling into the Azura path, I can't even die. Jiang Feng stood there and laughed bitterly. Azura Qi was a very special way to train martial arts. After training in this kind of internal energy, Jiang Feng could only live until 50 years old. After 50 years old, he would fall into the Azura path and be doomed eternally. But before that, no one could take his life. This was his fate. Before 50 years old, he must completely sweep through the martial arts world and fulfill his wish. Completed. When Jiang Yi returned to the back mountain, Liu Zhu was waiting for her. Yes, I pierced his throat. Jiang Yi nodded. Moreover, I touched his heart. His heart has stopped beating. That's good. Seeing that Liu Zhu's expression was not very relaxed, Jiang Yi felt a little strange. What's wrong with you? You don't seem to be very happy. Jiang Feng is full of tricks. I'm worried that he is not dead. Impossible. His throat was pierced. I did it myself and you suspect me? No, I'm not suspecting you. Never. Liu Zhu said without hesitation, I have already acknowledged your loyalty to Li Fan. But I'm worried about Jiang Feng. He is not an ordinary person. No matter how powerful he is, with his throat pierced, can he still come back to life? Jiang Yi did not believe that Jiang Feng had such a great ability. In short, we will know tomorrow. Liu Zhu sighed. I hope that tomorrow's cleansing will go smoothly. Master wants to leave the martial arts world of the Central Plains. Don't tell me they won't let him. With such a powerful expert leaving China, those people in the Jianghu would probably be more than happy, right? Don't forget, Li Fan has the true immortal secret art in his hand. Liu Zhu said, I'm afraid that even the 9 secret arts of the villa are not as important as the true immortal secret art, right? A man who is not content is like a snake trying to swallow an elephant. Jiang Yi coldly snorted, but no matter who wants to harm Master, I will personally cut off his head. Of course, welcome to the Shadow Army. Chapter 1444. The 7 Chivalry Villas' Golden Basin washing ceremony officially began. The heroes of the pugilistic world gathered at the Dragon and Phoenix Plaza, waiting for the main character to appear. These influential figures of the pugilistic world, the masters of the 6 great sects, all became spectators at this moment. They were like stars surrounding the moon, waiting for the 7 Chivalry Villa master to appear. Little Overlord Li Fan. In these 2 years, there was no one who was more famous than him. He was only in his 20s, but he had already mastered an invincible divine technique and created the strongest force in the pugilistic world, the 7 Chivalry Villa. Although the people of the 6 great sects were unwilling to admit it, the truth was there. In the pugilistic world, strength was always respected. Li Fan was a prospective son-in-law of the Murong family, but he had created his current career. This was enough to prove his strength. Wang Yue stood quietly beside Imperial concubine Zhu. Today, she had changed from her light pink Amei attire and was wearing the clothes of the 7 Chivalry Villa. The little girl had a long braid, and her pretty face was slightly red. Her gaze was fixed on the stage. She was very curious about the legendary little Overlord Li Fan. What did he look like? Was he, as the rumors said, 10 feet tall, 3 heads, 6 arms, and incomparably fierce? The Dragon and Phoenix Plaza was the largest plaza in the 7 Chivalry Villa. On both sides of the plaza, there were 2 pillars. On the east side, there was a golden dragon, and on the west side, there was a colorful phoenix. The plaza occupied an area of about 1,000 square meters. It was spacious and grand. A heaven-ascending platform was built in the center. Below the platform stood a row of the 7 chivalry sword guards. Each of them was full of heroic spirit, and they were all dragons and phoenixes among men. There were hundreds of martial artists surrounding it. Even with so many people, it did not seem crowded. In order to respect the 6 great sects, there were also 6 resting areas around the heaven ascending platform. The 6 great sects all had their own seats and territories. They would not neglect their status. This morning, Long Fengyu and his horse, Xiao Shifeng, had also come. However, Luo Shuowu did not come, and only sent Jin Jiumao to participate in the Golden Basin washing ceremony. Although he did not like Long Fengyu, Xia Hu still gave him the most basic respect. He arranged an area for his alliance to rest. Soon, Jiang Yi walked up first and carried a gold-plated basin of water before respectfully placing it at the center of the platform. Jiang Yi looked down and saw Jiang Feng standing in the crowd. His eyes narrowed immediately. However, she didn't make a sound and just silently descended the sky-reaching platform. Liu Zhu changed her appearance and stood in the crowd. She also secretly gave her a look. "Manor Lord, please." Xia Ye stood beside him. She was also the master of ceremonies in the manor. At this time, Xia Yi raised her voice and began to announce the matters according to the procedure. Everyone's gazes gathered and looked into the distance. A delicate and pretty young man in a long white robe was slowly walking over, escorted by 3 beautiful sword attendants. This youth was about 20 years old. His eyes were bright and full of expression, like tassels. His hair was long and tied back with a ribbon. He wore a white robe with the 7 beasts of the 7 Knights Villa embroidered on it. The young man strode forward with a majestic gait. Under everyone's gaze, he slowly walked over. Wang Yue looked at him from afar, but she began to mutter to herself. "This manor lord looks so impressive, but why does it feel like he's a little feminine? Yes, he's always mingling with women, so he's a little feminine. Sigh, he's indeed a lecherous person." Master. Sect leader Amei was right. However, how did such a lecherous person build such an amazing manor? "Manor Lord, please come up to the sky-reaching platform." Xia Ye extended her hand. Li Fan nodded and raised his leg to the sky-reaching platform. Li Fan stood high up and looked down at the crowd. He cupped his hands. "Thank you, everyone, for coming all the way to my 7 Knights Villa to witness my Golden Basin washing ceremony. Manor Lord Li, you really came out after being called for so long." Long Bailey stood below the platform and shouted. "But you made us wait for a long time. I'm really sorry." Li Fan apologized sincerely. "I injured my vitality a few days ago and have been recuperating in seclusion. Even today, my body is still a little weak." "Is Manor Lord Li really recuperating?" Wu Yangzi took advantage of the fact that he had the advantage in numbers and began to speak sarcastically. "Could it be that you're hiding to cultivate? I'm a straightforward person. Since you're cultivating, why is there a need to be sneaky?" Li Fan smiled and said, "I wonder what is the meaning of your question." "Immeasurable heavenly venerate." In front of the crowd, Wu Yangzi ignored his sect leader senior brother's attempt to stop him and asked directly, "I heard that Villa Master Li obtained a divine technique today. If you master it, you will be able to become an immortal. Why don't you tell us about it and broaden our horizons? If there was such a technique, I would have ascended to heaven long ago. Why would I still wash my hands here?" Li Fan asked directly, "This daoist, aren't you being a little whimsical?" "Li Fan, don't hide it. You can't hide such a huge matter." Long Bailey spoke straightforwardly. "That hero's token originally didn't belong to you. It belongs to the Heaven Alliance. Even if you snatched it, you can't be its owner. You should return it to its original owner." "Original owner?" Li Fan raised his eyebrows. "That's right." Chapter 1445. Today, I'm going to reason with you. Long Bailey pointed at Li Fan. His voice was so loud that everyone could hear him clearly. "Interesting. Let's hear it." The person on the stage was Chun who was disguised as Li Fan. She had imitated Li Fan's temperament to 70 to 80%. He looked at Long Bailey with great interest, as if he wanted to hear what Long Bailey could say. Everyone knows that the hero's token and the true immortal incantation belong to the martial artists of the Central Plains. As for Villa Master Li, you're going to leave China, so you can't be considered as a martial artist of the Central Plains. At most, you're a martial artist of the outer domain. It seems that you, Sect Master Long, have kicked me, Li Fan, out of China with just one sentence. Chana chuckled. Long Bailey hurriedly said, "This is not what I said. It's what the government wants. Since you want to leave, we can't let you take away the treasure of China. Li Fan, you used to be a Chinese. You can't plunder Chinese culture, can you?" "That's right. Sect leader Long has already removed my nationality." Chana nodded. "Sect Master Long, your mouth is like an imperial edict. I admire you. Li Fan, you don't have to hate me. These are all orders from the government. I, Long Bailey, haven't done anything wrong to you." Chana just smiled. "What you said makes sense. But I, Li Fan, haven't done anything wrong to you. So, I can't help you even if you come to me to complain about your grievances. There's no need for help. Villa Master Li, please leave the hero's token before you leave." "Yes, the hero's token belongs to the martial artists of the Central Plains. I hope Villa Master Li returns it to its rightful owner," a group of martial artists shouted. The situation seemed to be a bit aggressive. Most of the 6 sects were talking about this matter. Even if Wu Jizzy and Master Yu Shu wanted to suppress it, they couldn't. No one could resist the temptation of cultivation. These martial arts masters now began to shout, relying on their numbers. Long Fengyu stood in the crowd with his arms crossed. The corners of his mouth slightly rose. He didn't even need to say a word because he had already laid out the chess pieces beforehand. He had promised these people that once he obtained the perfected celestial art, he would share it with everyone. However, these people did not know that Long Fengyu actually had the second sentence of the oracular chant in his hand. Once he obtained the perfected immortal art, he would be able to cultivate it to become stronger than them. These martial arts people should just obediently be used by him like a gun. These stupid people, if they can cultivate the first layer of the perfected immortal art, they should be deeply grateful to me. Go and work for me. Go and force Li Fan into a corner and make him hand over the hero's token. Once he mastered the perfected immortal art, he would be invincible in the world. What Luo Xuewu, what Little Overlord, all of them had to submit to his martial strength. In front of so many Wulin passageways, Li Fan could not turn hostile. No matter how strong Seven Knights Mountain Villa was, could they fight against the entire world of martial artists? In the past, the 6 great sects had a ban on martial arts, so they lost their combat power. But now, the 6 great sects had already recovered their strength. This was a power that even the government did not dare to underestimate. No matter how courageous Li Fan was, what else could he do? Looking at the 6 great sects making a ruckus below, Jiang Yi was very displeased. She directly pulled out her extraordinary sword, gathered her inner energy in her voice, and shouted. In front of the heavenly ascension platform, who dares to be presumptuous? Everyone quietened down a little. They still remembered this girl's awe-inspiring manner yesterday. Fellow Taoists, if you are here to participate in my Golden Basin washing ceremony, I will naturally welcome you. Chana's expression did not change. Standing on the stage, she imitated Li Fan's bearing. She was happy and at ease, as if the people below were not people, but chickens and ducks. But if you are here to cause trouble, then I'm sorry, please leave the mountain villa. Otherwise, you will be staying and becoming enemies with me, Little Overlord. As she spoke, the surrounding 7 knight sword guards all pulled out their swords, revealing their sharp side. A strong murderous aura immediately pervaded the Dragon and Phoenix Plaza. All the martial arts experts present felt a chill down their spines. My goodness, the guards of this mountain villa are actually this powerful. Li Fan, what are you trying to do? Long Bailey questioned, do you really want to become enemies with the martial arts world of the Central Plains? Whether we are friends or foes, it is up to you. Chana looked at them calmly. Although I treat people with courtesy, it does not mean that my 7 nights mountain villa is easy to bully. I, Li Fan, will leave my words here. Whoever wants to become enemies with me, Li Fan, can step forward. I, Li Fan, guarantee that you will be satisfied. Wow, you are so powerful. Wu Yangzi stood in the crowd and ridiculed Li Fan. We have at least 300 martial arts experts here. Do you think we will be at your mercy? Oh, can a Daoist like you represent everyone? Chana was quick-witted. She did not fall into Wu Yangzi's trap and asked him instead, Wu Yangzi, Long Bailey, the two of you have been trying to sow discord between me and the martial arts experts. What is your motive? Do you want us to fight to the death so that you can profit from it? After Chana finished speaking, she stood on the stage and said, I, Li Fan, will set up an arena here today. Whoever wants something from my hands, come and challenge me. Whoever can defeat me, I, Li Fan, will definitely offer the true immortal art with both hands. Oh, so you are saying that the true immortal art is really in your hands? Long Bailey's eyes lit up. I said it's not in my hands 100 times, but you still believe me. Chana said with a mixture of truth and falsehood, just take it that I have cultivated the true immortal art. Sect leader Long, do you want to come up and experience the power of this true immortal art? Chana advanced in order to retreat. She made a big show of setting up an arena, which scared everyone away. Even Shailin's abbot, Master Yu Shu, was defeated by Jiang Yi, let alone Jiang Yi's master, Li Fan. How powerful is he? Moreover, if he cultivates this true immortal art, he might be at the level of an immortal. Going up to fight him one-on-one, wouldn't that be embarrassing themselves? Moreover, everyone wanted the true immortal art. Who would be willing to be the first to go up? At that time, they would only need to consume some of Li Fan's strength and pave the way for the future generations. There were no fools present, and no one wanted to be the first to stand out. However, if they continued to be in a deadlock like this, they would probably fall into Li Fan's trap. There must be a first person to stand out. But who? This Villa Master Li is merely setting up an arena. Why are you all afraid? A strong man wearing a yellow shirt walked out from the crowd and said with his chest puffed out, since everyone has their own plans, let me be the vanguard for you all. Ah, the vanguard, Wang Chuang? It's him. Everyone's gaze landed on him. When they saw this man, they cheered loudly. Who is Wang Chuang? He is an expert from Qinghai's Kunlun Mountain. 10 years ago, he made a name for himself in Jianghu by relying on his wind god's legs. The current Kunlun sect leader, Miao Chen, is his junior brother. He was also a youth who was only 15 or 16 years old, but his temples were bulging. One look and one could tell that his inner strength was astonishing. An expert, another disciple of Li Fan? This person looks like Le Xiaohu. Someone recognized Le Xiaohu, the eldest disciple of Li Fan, who single-handedly defeated all the young masters of the King of Hell Hall. Seeing him today, this youth was actually so young. Could it be that the rumors in Jianghu were false? The King of Hell's Hall, an organization that had been around for hundreds of years, was destroyed by this young man alone? Could it be that in order to increase the fame of his disciple, Li Fan sent out all the masters of the villa to destroy the King of Hell Hall, and then gave all the credit to that brat? Who are you, brat? Wang Chuang squinted at the youth in front of him, as if he did not take him seriously. This is the arena, not a place for you to mess around. Hurry up and get off the stage, go study properly. Your young master is called Le Xiaohu, the chief disciple of the villa. Le Xiaohu snorted, beating you. Young master still feels that it's a bit degrading. You actually want to challenge my master? Bah, shameless. Good kid, I think you're tired of living. Wang Chuang scolded, I'll break your legs, and let you know the dangers of Jianghu. As he spoke, he leaped forward, leaving behind an afterimage in the air. Wang Chuang's wind god kick was also the best in the world, and he claimed that it was more exquisite than his head disciple, and it was not an exaggeration. Wang Chuang was already in front of Le Xiaohu, and in a short moment, he directly kicked out 3 times. Each kick was aimed at Le Xiaohu's vital points, as if he wanted to kick Le Xiaohu to death. When the surrounding people saw this exquisite leg technique, they could not help but cheer. Miao Chen also muttered in his heart, "Senior brother's leg technique has indeed reached perfection. Just these 3 kicks, I'm afraid it would be difficult for me to kick out." However, Le Xiaohu did not retreat or dodge, he just stood there, letting the 3 kicks come in front of him. Everyone thought, this kid seems to be scared silly, as expected, he does not have any strength, it's just a show. What a pity, a youth at this age is going to be crippled. Tiger roar. Le Xiaohu suddenly struck out with his palm. Bang! The powerful palm wind immediately hit Wang Chuang's body. Wang Chuang felt as if he was hit by a train head-on, he directly flew out and landed heavily on the side of the sky-reaching platform. If not for Wang Chuang's quick reflexes, grabbing the edge of the sky-reaching platform and stabilizing his body, he would have directly fallen down. Wang Chuang was extremely shocked, firstly because of Le Xiaohu's profound internal strength, and secondly because he could not understand, wasn't the 7 Knights Villa's 9 Dragon Force a feminine internal strength? How could it release such a fierce and explosive palm force? How could he know that although the internal strength of Le Xiaohu was feminine, Le Xiaohu's Tiger Roar was truly a fierce external strength? The Tiger Roar's circulation method was to gather the internal strength in the body in the palm and then explode it in one breath. Even if it was a feminine internal strength, under this kind of explosion, it could also exert a terrifying power. Can't even withstand a single blow. Le Xiaohu's personality was extremely high profile. He crossed his arms and looked at Wang Chuang amidst the exclamations of the crowd. "Are you the legendary Almighty King? Your mouth is the strongest. Kid, I just let you off because you're young, don't be so proud of yourself." How could Wang Chuang keep a straight face? He immediately jumped up, readjusted his true energy, and glared at Le Xiaohu. "I'll immediately let you know the power of my wind god's kick. Bring it on." Le Xiaohu roared loudly, like a ferocious tiger roaring in the forest, shaking the mountains. Even Wang Chuang felt slightly uneasy after being reprimanded like this. He could not help but be shocked. This kid, at such a young age, how could he have such a profound internal strength? He had practiced freely for 30 or 40 years, and yet he was still inferior to him? How can even this kid be so powerful? Seeing Le Xiaohu's strength, Wang Yue could not help but want to groan. Was there no weak soldiers under a strong general? Li Fan's 2 disciples were both so powerful. They were obviously younger than her, but their martial arts were so much higher than hers. Just how did the 2 of them cultivate? You don't have to be jealous. As long as you learn martial arts from me, it won't be long before you become as powerful as them. Imperial concubine Ju reached out and gently touched Wang Yue's head. "Is there anyone else who wants to experience the martial arts of my villa? The young master is waiting." Le Xiaohu patted the dust off his body and said arrogantly. But at this moment, no one dared to look down on this youth. Although this kid was young, his skills were not ordinary. It's already at the peak of perfection. With a wave of his horsetail whisk, Wu Jizhi had already seen through Le Xiaohu's strength. Immeasurable, heavenly sovereign, I didn't expect Li Fan's 2 disciples to be so outstanding. Even if they started cultivating in their mother's womb, they could not be this powerful. Wu Yangzi insisted, sect leader senior brother, the 2 of them might have already cultivated the true immortal technique. Otherwise, how could they be so powerful? The true immortal technique is indeed a good thing. We cannot let the 7 Knights Villa monopolize it. That's right. The true immortal technique should belong to us big guys. Everyone thought that the true immortal technique was so powerful, so their greed grew. Bullshit true immortal technique. Le Xiaohu could not help but sneer, you guys can't beat the young master, so you gave the young master the title of immortal. Let me tell you, the people of my 7 Knights Villa never practice external martial arts. Not to mention immortal cultivation, even if it's spirit cultivation, we won't practice it. Who are you trying to fool? Long Bailey sneered, if there really is an immortal cultivation technique, would you not practice it? gauging the heart of a gentleman with your own mean measure. Le Xiaohu curled his lips. Do you really think everyone is the same as you? Ridiculous. So what if you cultivate? That nine-tailed divine fox is still an immortal, but he was still beaten badly by my master. My 7 Knights Villa's martial arts are the strongest. Truly arrogant. Let me have a taste of your martial arts. Long Bailey finally could not take it anymore. As the sect leader of Kongtong sect, he leaped 3 to 4 meters high, and in the blink of an eye, he arrived above Le Xiaohu's head and chopped down with his hand. His palm carried a raging flame, as if his entire hand was burning. Roaring flame blade. This was their Kongtong sect's unique technique. Wherever Long Bailey's palm passed through, the air distorted, showing how terrifying the heat of this chop was. Good move. Le Xiaohu's hand was entwined with purple lightning, and he released a thunder dragon blast. The blue thunder blade flew out of his hand and collided with Long Bailey's roaring flame blade. Bang! The two powerful forces collided with each other and exploded with a loud bang, sending shockwaves far away. Le Xiaohu took a step back, while Long Bailey's body flew out and fell heavily in the distance. His body was still emitting electric light, as if this move had affected him greatly. The effect of the Thunder Dragon heavenly punishment created by Li Fan was to temporarily cause the enemy to fall into a paralyzing effect. The strength of the effect was related to the strength of the target. Damn brat. Long Bailey got up again. He was a little angry, and he looked at Le Xiaohu fiercely. Long Bailey finally came to his senses. He no longer tried to be opportunistic and tried to subdue Le Xiaohu with one move. Instead, he relied on his rich experience and deep inner force to directly go forward and fight with Le Xiaohu. It had to be said that Long Bailey's current strategy was quite correct. Although Le Xiaohu's martial arts was very high, his actual combat experience was still lacking, and there was a gap between him and Long Bailey, who had fought his way up. Brat, now you know how powerful I am. Feeling that he had the upper hand, Long Bailey laughed proudly, completely forgetting that he was older than Le Xiaohu by a few decades. However, Le Xiaohu was not impatient. He was the type of person who became braver the more he fought. Brat, go to hell. Long Bailey found a flaw in Le Xiaohu's defense, and suddenly, his palm went straight for the top of Le Xiaohu's head. This palm was completely capable of breaking a steely and breaking stones. However, Le Xiaohu laughed, and then his eyes emitted a ray of light. Long Bailey suddenly felt that the true chi on his palm had suddenly disappeared, and he was suddenly startled. What's going on? His palm was already on the top of Le Xiaohu's head, but there was not the slightest bit of power. Did you not eat? Le Xiaohu laughed, and both of his palms pushed forward, hitting Long Bailey's waist and abdomen. Chapter 1448. Everyone did not understand what happened. They only saw Long Bailey's palm hit Le Xiaohu's head, but Le Xiaohu acted as if nothing happened and even sent Long Bailey flying. Long Bailey crawled up after a long time. Squatting on the ground, he spat out a mouthful of blood. Le Xiaohu's palm strike contained the power of 9 dragons. Even if Long Bailey had a protective aura, under the effect of Yuan Qi, he was still injured quite badly. True immortal arts. It must be the true immortal arts. Long Bailey shouted at the top of his lungs, otherwise, how could my true chi disappear? This is the true immortal arts. Too powerful, a martial artist is not his match. Of course, how could a martial artist fight against an immortal? Everyone was discussing, all of them were shocked by Le Xiaohu's strength. A youngster really should not have this kind of strength. Long Bailey was right, he definitely cultivated the true immortal art. The reason why the people from the 7 Knights Villa were so strong was definitely related to the true immortal art. Li Fan, if you have the guts, don't let your disciple stand out, come out and fight with us. Wu Yangzi waved his horsetail whisk and pointed at Li Fan and said, "What a joke." Le Xiaohu stood in front of his master and said disdainfully, "You can't even get past me and you still want to fight with my master? What a joke. Your brain must be damaged." Wu Yangzi was speechless. Indeed, in the martial arts world, if one wanted to fight with the master, they must first get past the disciple. This was a rule since ancient times. However, the purpose of the existence of this rule was to protect those old martial artists. No matter how strong a martial artist's internal energy is, their body will eventually enter the stage of old age. However, in the martial arts world, with fame, there will inevitably be people who come to challenge them. Therefore, experts will accept disciples, 1 to pass down martial arts, and 2 to protect their own reputation and safety. However, Li Fan is an exception. He is so young, why would he need the protection of a disciple? However, rules are rules. No matter how dissatisfied Wu Yangzi was, he could not find any fault with it. Damn it! Wu Yangzi could not help but curse in his heart. How did I get caught by this brat? They had so many martial arts masters. Could it be that they couldn't even deal with the 7 chivalrous villas? The true immortal art was right in front of him. Could it be that he had to wave goodbye to it? No. He absolutely could not give up on the true immortal art. Thoughts raced through Wu Yangzi's mind as he tried to come up with a solution. I can't go on like this, I have to think of a way to get the true immortal art. Originally, he hoped that the martial artists present would take turns to fight and exhaust Li Fan's physical strength. Unexpectedly, his 2 disciples were also dragons among men. He did not panic and instead slowly said, Imperial Concubine Ju, you are a senior in the martial arts world, but today you want to compete with me, a junior. Isn't this a bit inappropriate? Oh, are you saying this because you think this empress is old? No, this junior doesn't mean that. This junior is saying that you are very powerful and this junior is not your match. Since you know you are not my match, then step down. Imperial Concubine Ju didn't follow Jiang Feng's words at all. This made Jiang Feng a bit speechless. She didn't play by the rules. It seemed that Imperial Concubine Ju was determined to take care of this matter today. If he wanted to touch Li Fan, he must first go through Imperial Concubine Ju. My good second brother, are you thinking in your heart that with your strength, you will first forcefully pass through Imperial Consort Ju's trial, and then come looking for me? Chana suddenly said, causing Jiang Feng to raise his eyebrows. Just now, I was only suspecting, but now that you've said it, I'm sure of it. Jiang Feng closed the folding fan in his hand and raised his voice by an octave. Li Fan, I'm afraid that something happened to your body and you can't use your power for the time being, right? Jiang Feng's words caused Chun Er's complexion to slightly change. The surrounding heroes of Jianghu were also shocked. Li Fan's power had dissipated. Could it be that something went wrong while cultivating the true immortal technique? Chapter 1449. When a Mei sect leader Yu Ruoying heard this, her intestines turned green with regret. If she knew that Li Fan's strength was damaged, why would she go through so much trouble to send her beloved disciple to the 7 Knights Villa? With the combined strength of the 6 great sects and Jiang Feng and Long Fangyu, wouldn't the 7 Knights Villa obediently submit? Miscalculation, this time it was a miscalculation. Yu Ruoying wanted to stomp her feet, but considering the eyes of the surrounding disciples, she could only endure. She could only think of a way to get her disciple back. You're right. Chana suddenly rolled her eyes and put her hands behind her back. She might as well openly admit it. I suffered some internal injuries, so it's inconvenient for me to use my power. Everyone, from the beginning, our villa has already told you that I have suffered internal injuries, so I have been recuperating. It's you who didn't believe me. What? Do you think you can decide everything? It's true that the villa lord is injured, but this empress is still healthy. Imperial Concubine Ju was confident that she could protect Li Fan. She stretched out a finger and pointed at Jiang Feng. Little friend, didn't you practice the Shura sect's martial arts? Using 30 years of life to exchange for unlimited power, do you think you can deal with this empress? Jiang Feng was taken aback by his word. Imperial Concubine Ju even knew about his martial arts. Worthy of being the undying evil Buddha that shocked the martial world, she was indeed powerful. Several hundred years ago, the Shura sect was famous for a time. However, This sect's martial arts was too strange. All the disciples could not live past 30 years old. That year, the sect leader had some friendship with this empress, but later on, he made this empress unhappy, so I dealt with him. Heh. Jiang Feng smiled confidently. Imperial concubine Ju, you are still a character. How can you say such a lie to me? You're just relying on your 50 years of immortality, right? Imperial concubine Ju once again made Jiang Feng's heart fiercely jump. Perhaps this martial art is indeed useless to others. But don't forget, this empress is famous for this martial art. If you don't believe me, then come and try. Let's see if this empress can abolish your immortality. Imperial concubine Ju smiled sweetly, but it made Jiang Feng's heart jump. He subconsciously took 2 steps back. He suddenly remembered that Imperial concubine Ju was known as the immortal evil Buddha. Her famous martial art was the absorption of internal energy. Some people even said that Imperial concubine Ju didn't absorb internal energy, but rather, it was a person's life force. If his life force was sucked dry, would he still be able to survive? Commander-in-Chief Jiang, go ahead. At this time, Wang Zhani, the head of the Qingcheng sect, finally walked out and said gloomily. A few hundred years ago, our 6 great sects and Imperial concubine Ju fought to the death. Later on, the seniors of our sect painstakingly invented a set of martial arts to restrain the undying evil Buddha's Vairocana Heart Sutra. Oh! Imperial concubine Ju was surprised. She looked at Wang Zheni and asked, is what you said true? Mph, Imperial concubine Ju, do you really think that your Vairocana Heart Sutra is invincible? My Qingcheng sect has been studying the method to break it for generations. Today is the time for our ancestors to verify the result. With that, Wang Zheni shouted at Jiang Feng, Commander Jiang, if you believe me, then come here and let me seal 2 of your acupuncture points. Jiang Feng frowned. Getting someone to seal 2 of his acupoints was not a joke. If he made a mistake, he would be consigned to eternal damnation. If Commander Jiang doesn't believe me, then forget it. Wang Zheni didn't force him. He could see that Jiang Feng was also interested in the true immortal art. Listening to the previous conversation, this man didn't seem to live past 50 years old. In this case, the true immortal art was the only hope to save him. Sect leader Wang is also a famous figure for a long time. How could I not believe you? Jiang Feng thought about it. He was an Azura tiger. If he didn't even have this little bit of courage, how could he have a foothold in Jianghu? Besides, he was now immortal. So what if he let Wang Zheni torment him a few times? Commander Jiang is really courageous. Wang Zheni also flattered Jiang Feng without batting an eyelid. Now was the time to make use of Jiang Feng. There was no need to shed all pretense of cordiality with him. Come, Commander Jiang, let me give you a hand. As Wang Zheni spoke, he swept his hand and shot out the true qi in his body, hitting 2 acupuncture points on Jiang Feng's body. This move made the martial artists nod their heads in amazement. As expected of the Qingcheng sect leader who had been famous for a long time, his strength was indeed extraordinary. Just these 2 moves were enough to show his strength. 2 bangs sounded, but Jiang Feng didn't feel anything strange. Wang Zheni seemed to have sealed 2 of his hidden acupuncture points. For martial artists, the internal energy in their bodies was indeed channeled according to the meridians. However, there were a total of 409 acupuncture points in the human body, including 361 acupuncture points on 14 meridians and 48 extra acupuncture points outside the meridians. When they practiced martial arts, they mainly focused on the acupuncture points on the 14 main meridians. Opening these meridians and letting the true qi flow through them could cultivate internal energy. However, the 48 extra acupuncture points were an exception. These acupuncture points were not in the meridians, so even if they were opened, it would be meaningless.